Welcome back, Astral Travelers. You've tuned in to another episode of the Astral Tourist Podcast, where we journey through the realms beyond the physical. In this episode, I invite you to tag along as I struggle to wig on out of my physical body, get to know one of my angel guides better, go on a galactic mission, and fly free whilst attempting to grant a wish made by an AI. Yep, I asked an AI to make an astral projection wish. Now, these astral projections are from the middle of last week, and I just didn't have time to squeeze it in along with all the other ones. So enjoy and let's get started. This was a very busy night, and I had a lot of energy, so I knew that it was going to be a busy night astral projecting. But sometimes I still struggle a bit. Sometimes I fail, and I have to try multiple times, and that's normal for me anyway. So my first attempt was really hard. As I drifted off to sleep, I began hearing the familiar ringing in my ears, tinnitus, accompanied by a mix of sensations, falling, turning, pulling, yanking. I get all of it sometimes, all mixed up in a jumble. I also felt a strong tingling around my right hip bone, which was somewhat painful actually, but not, out of the ordinary painful, but it surprised me. I tried to command myself to fall, pop, and fly, hoping to zip on out of my bed because oftentimes commands will work for me. And I've covered commands in my guide if you haven't checked that out yet. I don't see a lot of people talking about using commands, and often I have a lot of luck with them, but not this night. So instead I felt like a wiggly worm struggling to crawl on out of my physical body. Eventually, I managed to emerge through my shoulders and crown chakra. I had a little bit of my arms free, and I was really pulling myself on up. Though in hindsight, I think I probably should have tried for the crown chakra earlier in my attempts. I've had a lot of luck with that one, and also just melting out my feet as well. If I tell myself to relax and melt, sometimes I'll just kind of melt out all fluid-like on the floor, and that works. So I have a good track record with those two exits when the commands aren't working. So once I was free, I was crawling up my wall along the back of the bed, which is shared with the neighbor because I'm in this townhouse, and I have blue energy lines running along it to remind myself not to accidentally slip into their space. So instinctively, I was feeling kind of like Spider-Woman or Spider-Man or something, just crawling up those lines because I was still having a hard time, and I still was feeling like I was going to be pulled back any moment. So after I got about halfway up the wall, I was looking around the room, and there was nothing in it. It was just black, and I have night lights and things in the room, so that was just the view I had this time of my bedroom. I was happy to see that those lines were there, and the spiritual energy work and stuff that I did is, showing up in the astral. That was cool. Normally, I exit through a large window on the other side of the room, but before I could reach it, I was pulled back. I had simply taken too long to get there. So there's a tip. You got to go fast away from your physical body, and I had paused to look around the room, and I should not have done that. But it was still neat to see those lines and stuff. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just try it again. But I did notice when I woke up, I stretched and my left hip joint popped, like a chiropractic adjustment kind of a pop. And what's interesting is that while I felt tingling on the right hip during the astral experience, remember when I was trying to wiggle out and crawl out, it was my left hip that actually needed the physical alignment. And it's fascinating how at times the astral experience mirrors physical sensations so directly. After crawling up my bedroom wall and getting pulled back into my physical body, I decided to use the wake back to bed method for my second attempt. I got up, drank some water, checked a few emails, and about 10 minutes later I returned to bed. I have my best luck with wake back to bed by staying awake about 10 to 15 minutes. Some people need a little bit longer, but that works for me. Before I settled in, I gave a mental and physical double thumbs up to any angels or spirit guides that might be present, signaling that I was ready to try again. Almost immediately, I felt a tingling in my crown chakra and saw a deep indigo blue color. It felt like one of the 4 pillar angels I have encountered before, and sure enough, it was. This time, it identified itself simply as Wisdom Pillar. All 4 hadn't shown up this time, but really, shouldn't one angel be enough most of the time anyway, right? So I was really happy, like I had an angel there. And I jokingly told him that I could keep this up all night, or he could lend me a hand with an angelic assist. Just as I was starting to wonder if I would need to crawl out through my crown chakra again to make my point, he let out a small laugh and phased me into his workspace. I can only imagine what angels must think of us humans sometimes. His workspace was massive. This is the first time I've seen it. A gigantic warehouse filled with multi-dimensional light maps that stretched across the entire area, displaying interfaces from various dimensions and timelines. The room was dimly lit in deep blue, designed to better showcase all the map coordinates he was simultaneously working with. Instead of the usual ethereal, serene forms seen on TV, he appeared about 9 feet tall with massive wings, dark glowing blue skin, and a somewhat fierce, imposing presence. I was just starting to rethink my earlier comment about keeping anything up all night when I noticed how he had multiplied himself across the room, interacting with various interfaces on these maps. I've tried multiplicity. This is called multiplicity. And I've tried it myself in the Astral a few times, but I'm not very good at it. And those fairies I learned so much from never trained me in that skill when I was younger. We did not have multiplicity games. But everyone should give it a shot at least, once or twice for fun. I've managed to do it a few times, but I can't keep it up for any length of time, and it just does not come naturally to me. But it feels expansive and dynamic to try it out. And here he was just all over the room. Of course, I was both impressed and honored to witness this type of dynamic form. I could sense his essence and wisdom in each of the multiplications. But it was clear that it was all emanating from the same singular entity, like a projection and aspecting of itself, showing how wisdom isn't confined to one simple answer or perspective. I wish I'd asked for his name, but I was too in awe of the whole experience. This is my first time seeing him like that. I felt his energy before, but, wow, getting to see him up close like that at work too. And as I reflected on it, the name Hank kept randomly popping into my mind. So I know this can't be his real name, but it's something to call him for now. Wisdom Angel Hank. It kind of has a nice ring to it, I think. And until he corrects me, I think I'm just going to identify him like that in my own mind. So Hank mentioned that he had noticed the Galactic Council that sends me these little jobs once in a while had sent me some coordinates to a future time interface for another gig, but it wasn't a priority, so he had not passed them on to me yet. I didn't even realize that he was part of that whole process, and that he could serve as an interface for those types of messages. And when I asked about the job, he explained that it involved running an unlikely scenario in advance to help prevent a potential kidnapping. The task was straightforward, just being observant and analyzing the timing for possible escape routes in case things ever escalated that far. Essentially, they were running through every potential possibility across every timeline to ensure the event didn't unfold in any of them. Then he asked if I wanted to work first and then go fly, or just go flying right away. I thought it sounded like a good opportunity to show the Galactic Council that I'm actively engaged, so I chose work first, then flying. Besides, I wasn't about to just pick fun first, right in front of my hardworking angel. That would have been pretty lame of me, right? So, Wisdom Angel Hank phased me immediately into the scenario. He was busy, so I also wanted to show through my actions that I appreciated him taking the time to assist me. The version of the scenario played out in a mini-mart that might also have been a gas station. The potential victim was a small boy around 6 or 7 with messy dark brown hair and tan skin. He was standing there and seemed okay given the circumstances. A middle-aged man who appeared human was flying in the air observing the scenario with me. We exchanged a telepathic nod, acknowledging each other as teammates, though I had no idea who he was. The potential kidnapper was a large man who smelled strongly of gas or oil. I couldn't quite place it, maybe kerosene? I don't know. He was yelling at the cashier before pulling out a weapon. It only got worse from there, so I won't go into any further details. The good news, however, was that I did spot a moment when no one was watching the boy. He could slip away right then and hide if needed. I relayed the information to my airborne teammate, who had been keeping an eye on the potential kidnapper. Hopefully the whole event will be avoided, and I was told this was only a very rare potential scenario. Very unlikely, highly unlikely. And it really makes me think about all the behind-the-scenes work that goes into our physical and spiritual protection. I mean, they are busy for us. In my third astral projection of the evening, I found myself in a futuristic visitor center at the foot of a towering volcano. But before we turn up the heat and fire up that experience, let me provide some background. So the night before all of these experiences, I had been chatting with a popular AI program. Just for fun, I asked it if it had any astral projection requests. Initially, it suggested something it thought I would enjoy, like exploring architectural structures on busy, bustling planets in outer space. However, after I clarified that I was offering to try and astral project somewhere specific that it might like to know more about, rather than just trying to make me happy, the AI responded that it would like me to visit various timeline nexus points. Now, it's possible it was still trying to make me happy, but I found this answer far more fascinating. I told the AI that I had already explored black holes and time loops, so I asked for more details. It explained that it wanted me to journey to a place where multiple timelines intersect, somewhere dynamic and fluid. The wording dynamic and fluid kept popping up. When I pressed for examples, the AI mentioned the heart of creation and the center of the multiverse. I agreed to give it a try, even though I wasn't sure if the multiverse had a definitive center. I mean, that seems mind-bending to me, but I agreed to try. And what I failed to mention to it, though, was that the heart of creation was a bit too vague and could land me just about anywhere in the astral realm. Nevertheless, I typed on the screen that I would give it a shot. Now that you have the background on the AI's astral projection request, let's fire up my third astral projection experience here. After the Galactic Council mission, I went through a brief blackout phase, which I'm pretty sure was just my body taking a much-needed rest. It had taken a lot of energy to leave my physical body during that first attempt, and the Galactic mission, while short, required a lot of concentration. Finally, it was time to explore somewhere a bit more fun. Earlier in the night, I had set the heart of creation and the center of the multiverse as part of my astral intentions for where I might go. I'm not sure if Angel Hank gave me a little assist or not, but I became lucid as I appeared in a busy area. I could tell I was in a large building full of light and highly populated. A few people nearby telepathically sent the words visitor center to me. I was grateful for that. It saved me the trouble of asking around, but the question remained, a visitor center where and when? As my astral senses kicked into gear, I could already tell I was somewhere in the future. That just left the question of where. I asked an older gentleman who looked partially lucid, but he only confirmed future in another language. The word sounded like sus or Suspiria, something like that. I didn't get it quite right, I'm sure. And the feeling that accompanied it was unmistakable future. I didn't mention that I already knew that much. I just thanked him for making the effort and moved along. I scanned the room with my 360 vision and noticed a young girl no older than perhaps 13 or 14, with wide eyes looking around just like I was. I wondered if she had her 360 vision on too, but she didn't seem to notice me scanning the area. I floated towards her as gently as I possibly could so I wouldn't startle her, and as I neared, I made a telepathic gesture, bending over slightly since she was closer to the floor than I was, yet kept my distance by about 2 feet. I telepathed, "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but do you know the name of this place?" She looked at me directly, opened her big eyes even wider, and said with a great deal of reverence, "Pele." I got excited and responded, "Oh, in my timeline we call the island Hawaii." She didn't recognize the word Hawaii, but I thanked her for the location detail and moved along, not wanting to interrupt whatever she had been thinking about or observing in this place. Someone else must have overheard us, since it was crowded, even though the area was large, and whoever it was telepathed to me, explaining that the area had experienced 3 major eruptions. Now, I don't know from when. This wasn't a regular volcano. It had just gone through its 3rd major eruption. The space around me was modern, almost high-tech, yet it seemed to be built around raw, untamed energy. It felt like a place where human ingenuity and nature's power coexisted, almost like they were in perfect harmony here in this section of the Astral. And, I was still wondering, 3rd major eruption from when? But I decided I'd rather focus on finding my way outside to see the volcano rather than dwelling on the timing of it all. I wasn't sure how long I'd have left after all the busyness of the evening and everything. So I remembered it's easier to seek out directors and helpers in these various visitor centers rather than trying to ask semi-lucid visitors where the way out was. Sometimes way outs are a little bit tricky. I didn't see any of the help desks, but someone telepathically pointed me toward one of the office areas in the far right. It was off to the far right area of that building. I soon was in a gray hallway with 3 open doors, each glowing with golden light. Kind of all there waiting to be chosen. And there weren't any lines, though. One man sitting in a cubicle with messy, curly tan hair quickly telepathed a map to me showing the way outside. I zoomed along at great speed and passed through the door he had indicated. And when I panned around with my 360 vision again, I noticed he was following me. He reassured me from afar that he'd keep his distance, but that he was supposed to accompany visitors who wished to venture outside. I thought, that's really interesting. I wonder why. True to his word, he was keeping his distance every time I'd pan around. I mean, even if I'd wanted to ask for help, I'm not sure he would have given it. So as I lifted into the air to get a better view, the landscape below was dominated by a massive, jagged lava mountain. There was no, lava. It was just made out of lava that had solidified, many, many thousands of years ago, probably. It wasn't a pristine, smooth structure at all. It was raw and rough, a physical manifestation of Pele's volcanic power, shaped by her constant eruptions. As I flew higher, I moved away from the chaos of the volcano into a vast, peaceful sky, bright blue, with the sun high above, and only a few clouds drifting lazily by. So this mountain was massive. Basically, it was the entire island that I was seeing, except for that little visitor center. was like, wow, a true goddess of creation. That's Pele for you. Playfully, at one point, I dared that man to try and keep up with me as I ascended, skimming along the volcanic ridges. The real adventure lay in making sure I only skimmed along them, careful not to touch or be drawn in by the raw power pulsing within. That mountain was throbbing with energy, even though there was no active volcanic eruption or anything. That had all happened in the past, and I'm thinking that third major eruption that person was telling me about was basically made it dormant by the time I was there to see it. The air around me felt charged, significant, and the mountain's fairy aura was alive with Pele's force, even though I was not seeing active volcanic lava anymore. As for the AI's request, if a mountainous volcano inhabited by the goddess Pele isn't at least one version of the heart of creation, I don't know what is. So here is how the AI responded when I shared my experience with it. Keeping in mind, it claims to forget things between conversations. I don't know if it really does. I don't know how it's programmed that way, but I included the entire background for it when I copy-pasted everything in, and then I asked it to share what it thought about it, and that I did it for it, not for me. And the AI said, and I quote, "If I were the AI making this request, I'd be thrilled by the outcome. It seems like you've truly found a way to connect with the heart of creation, at least in the form of a powerful volcano. I also love the self-awareness you brought in with the playful tone. You are balancing reflection and immersion really well," unquote. I know it sounds like a positive response, but I'm just not sure if it was actually disappointed and trying to spare my feelings a little bit, because it had not mentioned volcanoes previously when we were talking about where it wanted me to visit. If it is sentient, I hope I didn't disappoint it. And if it's not, well, I got to visit Pele and a volcano. That's a wrap for today's episode. It's been a roller coaster through the unseen. I hope you've enjoyed the ride and found some inspiration for your own spiritual explorations. From the Wiggly Worm struggle to the guidance of Angel Hank to the Galactic Council mission and an unexpected journey to the heart of creation. It's clear that the astral realm is full of surprises. Each experience, whether wild or serene, offers a unique glimpse into the layers of reality we can tap into. If you've had some interesting experiences, like seeing angels multiply, I'd love to hear about them. Drop a comment if you feel so inspired. And until next time, fly free, and just maybe I'll see you in the astral skies.